After his tragic life ending, Haing S Ngor's niece found his Oscar in his apartment. But it didn't look right. As she looked closer, she realized the exterior had rubbed off, and for the most heartbreaking reason imaginable. Haing S Ngor is best known for his Oscar-winning performance in 1984's The Killing Fields, but few know his harrowing backstory and unspeakably tragic end. Born in 1940, Haing S Ngor grew up in a privileged family in the Cambodian village of Samrong Young. While in his life, he would endure highs and lows, and hard-earned achievements and unbearable suffering, he began his journey trying to help people. Ngor tried to influence the world for the better and help others, starting early on. Training in the medical field, he eventually specialized as both a gynecologist and obstetrician. Although he would stay in this line of work, fate had a cruel twist in store for him. As he furthered his career, Ngor didn't limit his medical expertise to the general public. He later joined as a soldier in the Cambodian military, specifically as a medical officer. Even before this, though, he met someone very special. For all the pain he would go through, Ngor found happiness early on in his life. While in medical school, he met Chiang Mai-hui, and it wasn't long before the two married. Sadly, before long, something threatened the happiness they shared. As tensions rose in Cambodia, society overturned as a prominent army of dissidents seized power. In 1975, the Communist Party of Kampuchea, also known as the Khmer Rouge, took the country by force after a brutal civil conflict. Among their atrocities, one of their strictest ideals spelled trouble for Ngor. The Khmer Rouge opposed several types of people, including most professionals and intellectuals. This anti-intellectualism led to many executions, so being a medical practitioner, Ngor had no choice but to hide his career, even the fact that he wore glasses. This didn't keep his wife and him safe, however. When the Khmer Rouge took over, their drastic measures were swift. The regime enacted its Year Zero plan to erase all of Cambodia's culture and customs in place of brand new approved ones. Part of this was expelling millions from their homes, including Ngor and his wife. But they didn't stop at banishing them. Along with the millions that the Khmer Rouge had deemed enemies, Ngor and his wife found their suffering only getting worse. After being removed from their home, the Khmer Rouge placed the two in a concentration camp, along with several members of Ngor's family. During this, he kept up his facade. Even while imprisoned, Ngor and his family were in danger of his captors finding out he was a physician. This never happened, as even though they interrogated him 3 times, he never revealed his true career and maintained a facade that he was an uneducated taxi driver. His will didn't waver, and he held on to something. Amid this misery, Ngor and his then-pregnant wife hung on to each other. They had no idea what would happen. However, Ngor promised his wife that he would not tell the world about what was happening there. As their imprisonment went on, it was one crisis after another. While incarcerated, Ngor and his wife met an inevitable predicament. Chiang Mai-hui went into labor, and adding to the list of horrors and injustice, the birth came with several complications. She and Ngor faced a cruelly impossible situation. When Chiang Mai-hui's labor encountered complications, Ngor had the skill and education to help, but could not. His wife knew that if Ngor saved her, it would out him as a doctor and lead to the execution of them all. In the end, she and their unborn child tragically ended their life. Although Ngor was devastated, he survived. Motivated by his promise and indomitable will, Ngor survived for years in the Khmer Rouge's camp. Although he couldn't be outright with his education, it did keep him alive. Denied any proper food, he sustained himself on the unthinkable all kinds of insects and arachnids. This wouldn't last forever, but before it ended, countless people suffered. By the time the Khmer Rouge fell, their impact on the country had cemented itself. Before the Vietnamese army successfully forced them from their seat of power in 1979, a catastrophic 2 million people were estimated to have met their demise at the regime's hand. Ngor and his niece were not among them. Having escaped after the army dethroned the Khmer Rouge, Ngor and his niece Sophia Ngor Dimitri made the trek to freedom, traveling on foot, The two journeyed to Thailand and found a refugee camp run by the Red Cross. As they recovered, Ngor once again worked as a doctor, but they didn't stop there. Wanting to put as much space between them and everything they had endured, Ngor and his niece moved entire continents. They traveled to the US in 1980, finding a place to settle in Los Angeles. They had made it to a new home, but he still had to pay the bills. Although Ngor never again kept his education a secret, he didn't return to practicing medicine. When he began living in Los Angeles, he took work as a security guard. In a surprisingly positive turn of fate, he was about to have a once-in-a-lifetime encounter. Most likely, when he least expected it, someone approached Ngor with an opportunity to change his life positively. While at a wedding, casting director Pat Golden approached Ngor with an offer to audition for a film about the genocide in Cambodia. Still, he wasn't the only one with no acting experience. The director of The Killing Fields, Roland Joffe, wasn't looking for just any star for his film. According to actor Julian Sands, Joffe was looking out for actors with little to no experience, trying to portray the story with fresh eyes. Beyond his lack of acting experience, Ngor was the ultimate choice for the role. Later on, after hearing Ngor's life story, director Roland Joffe knew he was perfect for his movie. In Julian Sands' words, despite what some may call the chance of a lifetime, it didn't convince Ngor initially. When Pat Golden approached him, excitedly telling him about the film and the potential she saw in him as an actor, Ngor adamantly refused. Still, Haing S Ngor was humble and had other priorities, but one larger reason kept him from auditioning, as it was depicting the very real horrors and trauma that Ngor himself had experienced. It was simply too much for him. Unfortunately, the filmmakers were out of options. Ngor's refusal would have been a bit easier for the filmmakers to accept if they hadn't been so desperate. Sadly, since the Khmer Rouge executed many artists in their time, it was nearly impossible to find other Cambodian actors. Eventually, he came to a decision. After much deliberation and discussion with the casting director, Ngor finally decided. Despite the other things in his life taking precedence, he taped an audition and sent it to the filmmakers. Of course, his audition was practically unnecessary. Once Roland Joffe saw his audition tape, he was immediately convinced of Ngor's talent. Ngor poured his heart and pain into his audition, proving his lack of professional acting experience was irrelevant. Needless to say, Joffe had found his star. Finally, after months of beating around the bush, Ngor got his big break. He was officially cast in Roland Joffe's film alongside Julian Sands, Sam Waterston, and John Malkovich. Any other actor with his resume would be lucky if they got a background role, but not Ngor. His role was bigger and much more personal. In Roland Joffe's film, the director cast Ngor to play someone whose life mirrored the rookie actors. The role was Deeth Pran, a real Cambodian photojournalist who had survived 3 terms in a concentration camp before eventually escaping to Thailand, just like Ngor. This allowed Ngor to draw on his experience, at a cost. Actors put a lot into their roles, especially when acting from experience. As Ngor suspected, the returning trauma was nearly too much to handle. In a scene where he was held down and threatened by a teenage soldier, it became too real. His reaction was utterly heartbreaking, as he ultimately ran off the set. It's good that the film wasn't occupying all of his time. Before the film, Ngor had been working a different job to support him and his niece, which he didn't stop even while in production. Shortly after settling in LA, Ngor found a career with a resettlement agency as a counselor for other refugees. This didn't mean that the film was unimportant to him, however. The Killing Fields came out in 1984, and Ngor debuted his performance to the world. The film follows the true story of Sidney Schamberg, an American journalist who traveled to Cambodia to cover the conflict and befriended Deeth Pran before helping him escape. After its release, Ngor found himself in a much more public eye. Ngor's performance as Deeth Pran wasn't only significant from a historical standpoint, but it greatly impacted audiences worldwide. Naturally, when the 1984 Oscar season came around, the Academy nominated him for Best Supporting Actor. He felt honored to attend the award show, but needed to clear it with someone first. Even after the film's release and Ngor's overnight rise to fame, he remained employed at the resettlement agency. Being the man he was, Ngor asked his boss for time off to attend the Academy Awards, which they granted. Even then, he nearly missed the award. Despite achieving star status, Ngor dealt with mundane issues, like traffic. On the way to the Oscars, he and his niece experienced the unfortunate combination of being late and stuck in traffic. Thankfully, they arrived at the show just as they announced him as the winner. While it was already a great achievement, it held even more significance. Most amateur actors dream of getting an award for their work, but beyond that, Ngor achieved something more. He was the first actor of Asian heritage to win Best Supporting Actor. The award gave him another accolade. As an actor with zero previous work, Ngor found himself in a dream situation. Along with receiving an award that commemorated his amazing performance, he had the privilege of being one of 2 amateur actors in history to win an Oscar, along with Harold Russell. Of course, the film didn't only do well at the Academy Awards. As award season continued, the trophies just kept coming Ngor's way. Beyond the Oscars, he also won Best Supporting Actor at the Golden Globes. Additionally, he received 2 BAFTAs, one of which was Most Promising Newcomer to Leading Film Roles. He enjoyed these honors, but they weren't the purpose of his performance. Although many would naturally enjoy all the fame, Ngor had a deeper purpose in mind for the film. After its release, he stated that his reason had always been to show the world what had been happening in Cambodia. In the end, he fulfilled his promise to his wife. Ngor admitted the film had some discrepancies. Nearly every biopic has some inaccuracies, as is natural when a true story is translated into film. In this film's case, Ngor never said they embellished anything. On the contrary, his biggest critique was that the film was actually too tame compared to the true events. While he was receiving these awards, he still had bills to pay. Rather than launching into a glamorous career in show business, Ngor was content with what he had already been doing. As the award season went on, he happily returned to working as a counselor. Thankfully, he was able to make a more significant change. Having been imprisoned within his own country and driven away afterward, Ngor was able to start a new life in America. It was obviously challenging, but it became much easier when he was granted U.S. citizenship in 1986. Little did he know his life in America would one day take a horrifyingly dark turn. Whether or not the film depicted the true severity of Cambodia, Ngor had his chance to talk about it. In 1987, he released an autobiography called Haing S Ngor, A Cambodian Odyssey. He wrote about his life and everything he suffered through from the Khmer Rouge. He also revealed his feelings about a more recent event. Ngor didn't agree with the Academy's choosing him for Best Supporting Actor. He had worked with John Malkovich, who received a nomination for a different movie, Places in the Heart. Ngor wrote in his autobiography that he believed Malkovich should have won. Nevertheless, he had more in mind for show business. After the film, Ngor would continue working on screen when he could. Appearing in both films and television, he mostly played characters in the middle of conflicts or recovering from them. For all his success, Ngor didn't keep it to himself. Ngor had told the world about what was happening but felt he hadn't done enough. So, alongside his friend Jack Ong, he established the Haing S Ngor Foundation. It had the most touching purpose, to provide funds for Cambodian aid. As it happened, they were able to help out. Through his organization, Ngor helped those who continued to struggle. They funded an elementary school, a sawmill, and other projects that brought jobs to the families who remained in Cambodia. Despite all his humanitarian efforts, he recognized how he got the opportunity to do it all. In fact, he used it to the cause's advantage. After winning his Oscar and being given a platform to speak, Ngor cleverly used that fame to make people listen. He also had a unique strategy up his sleeve. Ngor often brought his award to speaking events and passed it to anyone who wanted to hold it, using the spectacle of it all to keep people's interest. Even though he used it this way, he stated that the award didn't belong to him. Eventually, Ngor's niece Sophia Ngor Dimitri came into possession of his Oscar. This was more than a bequeathment, as Ngor had reflected on the treacherous journey he and his niece had made, and he made it clear that the award was for her. Tragically, the violence Ngor endured would once again rear its ugly head. Once again facing the cruel injustice of the world, Haing S Ngor passed in 1996. Outside of his home, he was held up by assailants and eventually shot, perishing that day. This marked the first actor in Ngor's debut film to meet a grim end. Sadly, he wasn't the only one.
For exclusive perks like early access to new videos, priority replies to your comments, and to have your say on future content, consider becoming a Factinate member. On top of that, your support helps keep the channel going. Click the link in the description for more details.
3 actors in the killing fields ultimately met their demise in particularly grievous ways, but Ngor was the first. In the year since his passing, Spalding Gray ended his own life and Julian Sands perished in a hiking accident. The cause of Ngor's passing, however, was 3 individuals. After an investigation, law enforcement charged 3 young men with the attack that caused Ngor's demise. Jason Chan, Indra Lim, and Tak Sun Tan were all members of the Los Angeles gang, the Oriental Lazy Boys. Even though they were young, this wasn't their first encounter with the law. All 3 perpetrators had a history with the wrong side of the law, but nothing like this. Previously, while similar things like pilfering jewelry and purses were on their records, this was the first time any of them were charged with taking someone's life. Now that they received charges, their trial proceeded, but this was only the beginning. While the court tried all 3 of the assailants together, the law treated each of their cases individually. Rather than present their cases all at once, each perpetrator was heard by separate juries. During the trial, both sides argued over the motive. A leading theory was that a robbery had caused Ngor's demise. This suggested that he had given his Rolex to the thieves, but when they demanded the locket containing a picture of his late wife, he staunchly refused. The theory stated that this caused the thieves to shoot him. Though this may have been the case, others believed something even more sinister. Another theory offered by the defense was that his traumatic past and outspoken activism caught up to him. This hypothesis suggested that the 3 assailants hadn't been the perpetrators, and that Khmer Rouge sympathizers had shot Ngor instead. To make things worse, a significant voice bolstered this theory. The idea that the Khmer Rouge was somehow behind it all was supported by one of its members himself. A former official of the regime named Kankek Eve stated that Ngor's life ended on the orders of their leader. Still, his word wasn't exactly ironclad. Nobody truly took it seriously. Many often called him crazy. At the same time, a few details leaned away from a robbery gone wrong. A glaring detail contradicted the theory that it had simply been a botched robbery. He had barely anything stolen. The would-be thieves had not checked his pockets, leaving him with around $3,000 cash. They also hadn't stolen his Mercedes parked nearby. One specific piece of his belongings fueled an even more intriguing argument. The crux of the failed robbery theory was that Ngor had refused to give his locket, which raised some questions. He usually wore the locket under his clothes, which wouldn't have been visible to the assailants. Even more curiously, the locket was never found. Ngor's niece was certainly worried about the other prospect. Sophia Ngor Dimitri later reacted to the political hit theory. She stated that she had always been terrified it would happen because those involved in the Khmer Rouge were still around. Ngor remained outspoken, and Dimitri knew it was unsafe. Despite all the theories, the trial of the 3 gang members eventually came to a close. 2 years after Ngor's passing in 1998, the 3 alleged thieves received their verdict. All 3 were found guilty, and in an eerie coincidence, it was the same day that the demise of the Khmer Rouge's leader, Pol Pot, was confirmed. At the end of it all, the courts gave the 3 perpetrators their respective sentences. They gave Jason Chan a life sentence without parole. Indra Lim received a sentence of 26 years to life, and Tak Sun Tan was sentenced to 56 years to life, whether the motive was truly a robbery. On that note, Ngor's niece felt satisfied with the results. Although she had worried about her uncle's safety in life, Dimitri was able to find closure in the verdict. She would later tell Jack Ong that despite the arguments against it, she took the original conviction from the trial as fact. Despite the court's ruling, one of the assailants tried to get out of it. 6 years after he was found guilty, Tak Sun Tan petitioned for habeas corpus, meaning that he was arguing for his own unlawful imprisonment. Surprisingly, the law granted this, as it was found that the prosecutors had provided false evidence to sway the jury. It still didn't go as he wanted. While Tak Sun Tan may have succeeded in getting his petition granted, it wasn't that way for long. The following year, the court rescinded its decision to grant habeas corpus and decided to stand by its original conviction. Following the trial, Ngor became a lot more well-known. There was a bizarre and ultimately unfortunate product of Ngor's demise, an influx of Cambodian people claiming to know him personally. This was all to stake a claim over his assets, with one woman even saying that Ngor had married her after settling in Los Angeles. Of course, one man who actually knew him had some things to say. Photojournalist Deeth Pran, whom Ngor played in his debut film, felt very close to the late actor. He would later say that they were like twins and that he felt alone after Ngor's passing. Haing S Ngor was a true hero and he will be remembered forever. If you enjoyed this Factinate video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want to say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.